Let's talk about Seed People, a movie I wish more people knew about. You know when you've watched something good but almost nobody else has, so you can't talk to anyone about it? Well, I'm here to help with that in this video. Let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. A deep dive into the underrated gem of monster horror sci-fi cinema. A geologist named Tom is brought into an emergency room rambling incoherently. A federal agent arrives, stops the procedure, and begins questioning the injured man. The story is then explained in a series of flashbacks. Tom drives into Comet Valley to give a talk about meteorites at the Fireball Club. A keen eye would note the bridge, the only way in or out, being shut down for repairs. Making things awkward for our protagonist, the boarding lodge is run by his ex-girlfriend Heidi and her brother Frank. At night, Frank goes out to check the irrigation system for his orchid and comes across an interesting-looking tree. His monkey brain takes over and he prods it with a stick when it's just minding its own business. The tree's flower then shoots out a white fluid that lands all over him. Let's set aside the questionable alien plant design choice. The fluid horrifically kills Frank, and a seed person emerges from his remains. The same plant the following night attacks another one of the farmers, this time from a different orifice with sticky seeds. Don't ask me how or why this dude also died a terrible death. Tom meets his old friend Thurman, who presents him with a strange meteorite. It might be the one he's looking for. Around 500 years ago, the Native American people witnessed a meteorite crash in this place, which was mistakenly called Comet Valley. The cave paintings, however, depict the strange meteorite quite accurately. Meanwhile, bizarre incidents occur in the quaint town, and Tom feels like something is off. Back at the lodge, Kim, Heidi's niece, has already come across one of the Seed People and knows it is the housekeeper, Mrs. Santiago. She continues to gather evidence since she finds something off with the townspeople. The town drunk, Dr. Roller, also seems to be aware of the aliens. Too bad for him, he's not at all believable, what with the crazy conspiracy scientist look and a vial of liquor always in his right hand. Not to mention the doomsday prep look, as well as the UV tube lights tied to his body, a portable anti-Seed People device. Roller comes across Tom investigating the strange rock, which turns out to be an alien seed. He then rants about the seed and finally explains it. He ends his rant with the term testa, which means that where the testa is, it's inevitable that a seed will arrive there. Later, Tom finds another seed meteorite cracked open at the doc's lab, revealing a tiny seed person embryo. Tom then learns why seeds would be the ideal method for interstellar travel, and that the seed that crashed onto Earth was likely the meteorite from the cave paintings. Kim heads into the woods and records the strange seed goblins and seed other stuff. She soon finds many people digging, but her father shows up. He looks super suspect, quickly turns back into a seed person, and rolls after her. This movie is worth watching just for the roller aliens. Trust me. Tom finds Doc in the caves the next day and learns about their weakness, ultraviolet light. Not sure if plants could ever be that deadly, Doc goes on another rant, telling him that the seeds are dangerous because they're mobile, unlike the plant. For a B movie, the science is entirely on point, to be honest. Panspermia is the idea that life is spread across the universe through seeds crashing onto planets. Much later, Tom finds the townspeople digging up what appears to be a colossal seed cone, surely planning to disperse the seeds across the planet. He and Doc set up a UV light trap, and at night, they activate it, cleansing almost every one of the mind control except for the housekeeper, who might likely be the first seed person. Alarmed, she drives away on a truck with the seed cone on the back. Our hero climbs in the back, ignites the conveniently placed fuel cans in the back, and jumps off. The truck then falls off the cliff, exploding in a B-movie type fireball. Unfortunately for Tom in the present, when he's done telling the story, the agent and others are revealed to be seed people, and he fails to save anyone from them. A bad ending for our hero. Seed People is an enjoyable campy B-movie. In short, it ticks almost all the right boxes to be a fun weekend watch. The monsters are quite interesting, especially the tumbler. The plot is highly predictable since it resembles a body snatcher flick with a plant twist, but that's not so bad. The movie is quite enjoyable when taken in a lighthearted context. It was probably supposed to come off as horror. Still, the acting, the ridiculous amount of denim, the design choices for the plant, and the general campiness make it challenging to take seriously. However, some of the dialogues, especially the Doc's lines, were interesting, and I like how the basis of the movie was rooted in the well-known idea of panspermia. Lastly, I enjoyed the context given for the setting, Comet Valley. One of the comets was in fact a meteorite, and it was drawn as a cave painting half a millennium ago by Native American people. Anatomical facts about the seed people. Fun fact, some of the seed people roll. Okay, could you blame me for that one? The rolling terror was the most memorable thing for me. All right, let's get serious now. First, I'll start with the basics. The seed people hatch from seeds produced by the alien plant. I use the word hatch quite loosely here. As seen in the movie, I'm not so certain about the difference between those hatched directly from the seed versus Frank, who got sprayed in the white goo and transformed into a seed person. Origin and life of the plant. My theory is that the plant is capable of generating its own offspring, which it does via mobile and deadly seeds. It is also capable of transforming other living beings into mind-controlled thralls. These thralls possess the ability to transform into their original form at will. This is where I'll question the motive of the plant. If the people were attacked and transformed into seed people, were they mind-controlled or just alien now, so free to pursue their own purpose? Either way, just like Doc said, the plant is not a big issue to deal with. The real danger stems from the seeds. I'm sorry for the pun. An interesting thing to note is the durability of the seeds. I mean, these things came from the unforgiving void of outer space? That means the seeds themselves must have survived through a wide range of temperatures and pressures. In the movie, we see the meteorite, which seems like a closed pod, and we get to see another similar seed in Doc's lab cracked open, with a little one still thriving inside. We also see hundreds of tiny seeds from one of the flower's kills, but I'm not sure if they grow up to become the big rocks we see. There's also the huge seed core, which must have a few dozen fully grown seeds. How many types of seed goblins? Let's cover all the variants of seed people we encountered in the film in the order of their appearance. First is the two-handed seed person, or two-legged. Pick your poison. This one is quite nasty. It runs about on its limbs, dragging its hairy body around everywhere. Second is the flying seed monster, which reminded me a little of bloatflies from the Fallout video game series. This guy loves to eat faces and cause havoc. Third is Patrick Star from Wish, the tumbleweed. This little dude has 5 tentacle-esque limbs, which he curls in and tumbles around, terrorizing everyone. While this one is not mainly a seed, the plant that generates the seed people is pretty weird on its own, resembling the seed people since they're all velvety looking with some fur on them. Its presumably male and female flowers attack 2 different characters in the orchard. I hesitate to say attack since, in either instance, they were poked and prodded, and the plant responded by spewing its sticky goo and seeds. The men just died from the pain. It's not totally clear what precisely about the stick stuff killed these dudes. Lastly, I want to talk about their roles. While that wasn't a big focus, I can infer from the scenes that each of these were assigned a task, or they were just different enough to pursue separate goals. For example, the flying menace was shown to be protective of the woods and stay relatively close to the mother plant. Meanwhile, the tumbler happily chased its victims around wherever it pleased. The two-handed one? Let's just say it served the same purpose as the tumbler. Unfortunately, it loses cool points from not having the roll factor. Final form of the creature. I guess I got you with that one, didn't I? There's not much final form shenanigans going on, but there's still something interesting to talk about. It seems like any human who becomes the plant's victim takes on the form of the seed people, but they gain the ability to shapeshift into their human forms at will. Some people take on the form of the two-legged monster, while some turn into the tumblers. I guess that's chosen depending on how cool they were as humans. So I conclude that the final form is basically shapeshifting. Another thing to note is that the flying monster likely developed directly from the plant, or it must have been a seed that traveled through space to get here. How do they take control of humans? The plant's methods of propagation don't make too much sense to me, but here I go. The plant seed lands on a plant and grows into a new plant, which turns anyone who encounters it into a seed person. The seed person can go anywhere, so they terrorize people in their alien form, and in their human form, they blend into society, slowly driving towards their goal. Their primary method of taking over humans is by the plant. The attacked humans are incapacitated and wrapped into a kind of cocoon, where they turn into a seed person. It's very similar to a butterfly in a wicked way. When they're in stealth mode in the town, they seem to be able to control what others see and mind control them to an extent. Something very weird about them is that when they're in their human form, they don't seem to care about the presence of regular humans in their midst. Tom is able to roam around them pretending to be a drone like them and get back relatively scot-free. Lastly, the final scene shows the seed people having evolved to behave more naturally in their human forms. They're no longer the awkward, suspicious shell of a person they were at the beginning of the movie. It's no longer unsettling like how Kim had painted them out to be. Why can't bullets hurt seed people? It's established that the plant, and seed people in general, can't be shot to death or any other method of killing because they're plants. They need to be destroyed entirely, or they may regenerate and recover otherwise. Bullets were shown to halt one of them when one of them ate a shotgun buckshot and got knocked down. Weakness of the seed people. Finally, the fun part. In short, UV light. But you're here for the long answer, so let's get into it. The doc appears quite remarkable in his UV light setup, and that's for a big reason. The UV somehow messes with the seed people. It prevents them from mind-controlling humans, and it is also shown to reverse or disrupt the mind control over Heidi and Kim. Doc also notes that the UV is physically harmful to the seed people. The seed in his lab is how he found the weakness in the first place. What is less clear is how the UV works in one of the final scenes, where the affected people are freed from the mind control. But what about the shape-shifting and the metamorphosis into the seed goblin form? One particular thing about the scene is that the UV doesn't affect Mrs. Santiago. This likely means that the UV doesn't do much against the fully transformed humans because they're no longer human, or mind-controlled for that matter. The UV trap is probably just annoying for Santiago, and she decides to hop on the truck instead of doing whatever she was doing. Some other weaknesses of the seed people include pesticide. While not explicitly mentioned, Tom kills or incapacitates one of the flying monsters by giving it a healthy dose of pesticide. Fire. The truck's explosion seems to guarantee the destruction of the seeds and Santiago, but the poor truck's sacrifice is likely in vain. The ending reveals that Tom fails in his mission, and the fact that these seeds came to Earth from outer space surely means that the seeds are not affected by fire.
Then we don't have anyone else to worry about, do we?
Marvelous verdict. What a fun film to talk about. I wish they made a sequel, especially with an ending of that nature. I personally look for one thing that stands out in any B movie. It's a way of remembering them, and for seed people, it was definitely the tumbler. What an iconic thing. If a fluffy alien literally rolled up to me, I'd be an easy victim. Like I said in the intro, if you come across someone who has watched Seed People and asks you about it, you gotta reply with, "What in the ding-dong heck-a-madoodle is that?" Don't get sprayed by a plant right after that, though. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you next time. Oh, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.